Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing / having a discussion on all of the Marvel Netflix shows. So, before I do head into this particular video, I'm not going to sit here and spend a lot of time on spoilers because I'll be here for forever. Because I could literally spend hours talking about all of the Marvel Netflix shows. So yeah, I'm not really going to dive too much into spoilers. I'm just going to be very vague and general and kind of just share my thoughts and opinions about the Marvel Netflix shows. Let's get going, yeah guys. If you have no idea what all of the Marvel Netflix shows are, if you've been kind of in the closet or in the dark, yeah, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Punisher, and yeah, one season of The Defenders. So yeah, you guys, the Marvel Netflix shows, which are all pretty much, you know, they're spin-offs in a sense, if you want to think about them that way. They're part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, things like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the Avengers, all that stuff. The Marvel Netflix shows all take place in that same universe. They're just TV series. And they have just all recently come to a conclusion because of some reforging, essentially, going on with negotiations with Disney and Netflix. And because yeah, Disney, if you don't know already, Disney is going to have their own streaming service coming out called Disney Plus. So unfortunately, all of the Marvel Netflix shows were kind of put under the bus. You know, they were all thrown under the bus, unfortunately, and not really given proper conclusions. I think Jessica Jones is really the only show that was given a proper conclusion, because every other show had cliffhangers for the most part, and it's an absolute shame. So yeah, you guys, the Marvel Netflix shows, for the most part, every season had 13 episodes focusing on a different hero, focusing on different villains. I loved every season, you guys. You know, even though it was all different shows, it was Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher. Even though it was all different shows, it's like, to me, it was all one world. You know, it was all kind of one world, all just kind of, you know, lining out like that. You know, and I loved when a new season would come out. I loved being in the Marvel world, being with these characters, the heroes, the heroines, the villains, their friends and neighbors. I loved all of these shows. I know that other people who watch these shows, I know other people had complaints like 13 episodes is too many. Some of the shows were hit or miss. For me personally, I never really had a problem with the seasons being 13 episodes. I mean, that gave the shows time to really dig into the narrative, really dig into the characters. And yeah, I mean, there would sometimes be episodes it's like, well, we didn't really need that. We could have sped up the narrative instead of having this. But at the same time, it's like, you really got to just dig deeply into these characters. You know, you really got to know them and understand them as people, and not just our heroes, but also the villains. I mean, that's kind of some of the highlights of all of these Marvel Netflix shows, is really digging into some of the villains, because that's a very common complaint with the Marvel movies, is kind of the lack of very interesting villains. Because some of the interesting villains in the Marvel movies, I mean, you really just have Loki and Killmonger, and that's kind of it. So yeah, I never personally had a problem with 13 episodes, and I personally loved every show. Yeah, all 3 seasons of Daredevil, stunning, you guys, stunning. Season 2, probably not my favorite, but still very enjoyable. Jessica Jones, 3 seasons. The first season is definitely my favorite, and the first season of Jessica Jones is perhaps my overall favorite of all 13 seasons, okay? If I had to rank them, the first season of Jessica Jones is at the top, probably followed by season 3 of Daredevil, to be quite honest. But yeah, I loved Jessica Jones season 1, season 2 and 3. Kind of a bit disappointing. I think they raised the bar that first season, you know, with that very interesting story with Jessica and Kilgrave and whatnot. Yeah, the other seasons just were not comparable. Luke Cage. I loved Luke Cage because Luke Cage almost felt like the most real world in some ways, like dealing with real issues and characters that felt very real. Yeah, I love the story of Luke Cage. Iron Fist, the character of Danny Rand. Everyone was pissed off about the casting of Finn Jones because they wanted an Asian lead. I understand that, I understand that because that would have been nice to have an Asian lead for one of these shows instead of all these white guys. I would have loved an Asian lead as well, but at the same time, I liked Finn Jones. Finn Jones did what he could with the script that he was given. And yeah, Iron Fist was perhaps not one of the better shows, but I still loved and enjoyed it for what it was. I had fun with Iron Fist, to be quite honest. And yeah, The Punisher. Oh my god, The Punisher. Two of perhaps the most intense and darkly dramatic seasons out of all of the Marvel Netflix shows. The Punisher just did not stray from the violence and the gore. And then you have the one season of Defenders. It's supposed to be this uniting of all of these characters. And the Defenders, if I had to rank all of these Marvel shows, Defenders would probably be at the very, very bottom, because Defenders was a little bit disappointing. When I sit and think about it, when I'm kind of looking at the list of all the shows, Defenders was perhaps the most disappointing, because I think we all thought it was going to go in a certain direction, do certain things, and it didn't really do what we all wanted it to do, unfortunately. And yeah, our characters really didn't spend that much time with one another, like as a foursome, they all didn't really spend that much time together as a foursome, which is a little frustrating. But yeah, I personally loved all 13 seasons. Just every season just had something interesting to do, something interesting to say, new and interesting characters and villains. Just all 13 seasons really outstanding, even though some were better than others. It's like there was still quality, that's the thing for me. There was quality over quantity. And to be quite honest, as much as I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it just kind of came to a point with the Marvel Netflix shows that it kind of hit me. I was like, damn, I love these shows way more than I love the movies. Because the movies, the movies can only do so much. The movies, for the most part, are only about 2 hours. They can only do so much with the characters and with the world and with the villains and the story. And yeah, that's what I loved about all of these shows on Netflix. You really got to flesh out these characters and stories and villains. And it occurred to me how much I love these shows and how much I preferred them over the Marvel movies, which might be a little blasphemous. Like I said, as much as I love the Marvel movies, I think these shows are the better stories and the better characters, to be quite honest. And I think what I loved about all of these shows, not only just the ability to take the time with the narrative, take the time with the narrative and the characters and the villains and whatnot. Not only that, but also just the intensity. I love the intensity that, being on Netflix was able to do, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're owned by Disney. They have to be like PG-13. They can only be so dark and dramatic and angsty, They can't have cursing. They have to be very kid-friendly. And that's not a problem. That's not a problem. So yeah, what I loved about the Marvel Netflix shows was their ability to be very dark and intense and graphic and gory. Yeah, the language. Yeah, don't get me started on language, especially with The Punisher, because yeah, The Punisher needed to be on Netflix, that's for sure, because the F word is just flying everywhere and it's kind of glorious. But yeah, the language, yeah, there's occasions of nudity and some sex going on the shows. Yeah, there's a willingness on these shows to be risky and take chances and tell stories that the Marvel movies would not and could not be able to tell. So that's why I love these shows so much, is just that willingness to take chances and risks with the characters and the narrative, and really get you invested and just deep into these stories and really think. Because yeah, when you go to a Marvel movie, you're not there to think. You know, you're not there to think. You're there to have a good time and laugh. You know, eat your popcorn, maybe shed some tears. But yeah, with the Netflix shows, I mean, they're like I said, they're quality over quantity. They're there to be really deep and to make you think, and they have very close ties to very real world things in some ways, because yeah, these superheroes, they're not like Thor, they're not like Captain America, they're not like Iron Man. You know, Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, they're fighting alien creatures, you know, they're fighting larger than life villains. But yeah, in the Marvel Netflix shows, these heroes are more down to earth. They're fighting on the street level. They're fighting for the people of New York. They're fighting for the people of Hell's Kitchen. It's much more intimate in some ways. You know, you don't get that intimacy with the movies, unfortunately. So yeah, there's just so much to love about the Marvel Netflix shows, you guys. And yeah, I've already mentioned this. I gotta highlight the villains, because for me, I'm a huge person who loves villains. For the Marvel movies, Loki is pretty much my top favorite Marvel villain. He's kind of the only one, unfortunately. But yeah, with the Marvel Netflix shows, just so many great villains, yeah, guys. And I think two of the best, if I had to highlight a couple of them, two of the best Marvel Netflix villains are definitely Wilson Fisk from Daredevil and Kilgrave from Jessica Jones. Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio for Daredevil, oh my god, just such a larger than life presence. Very just he's a crime lord, essentially, a mob boss. Yeah, a very intelligent man, you know. Wilson Fisk was very intelligent. He was always multiple steps ahead. I loved him as a villain. And yeah, he didn't have superpowers. You know, his superpowers was just that he was wealthy and intelligent. And yeah, very intimidating. And yeah, what an incredible foe for someone like Daredevil, you know. And then yeah, you have Kilgrave for Jessica Jones, played by David Tennant. Kilgrave is definitely my top favorite villain for just Marvel in general, you guys. And Kilgrave was creepy and frightening. Yeah, his ability was, you know, basically mind control. You know, he can just get into your brain, make you do and say anything he wanted, and yeah, him essentially kind of raping Jessica Jones in that way, you know, by controlling her mind. And yeah, that's what I loved about season 1 so much, because season 1, the big message was power and control, and who had it. Did Jessica have it, or did Kilgrave have it, or did neither of them have it, and who was able to get the upper hand of the other by the end. Definitely watch the Marvel Netflix shows if you're just really craving good villains, yeah, guys, and I do mean good. And not only do you have the villains of Kilgrave and Wilson Fisk, but yeah, you do get Bullseye eventually. I really loved Bullseye. Yeah, you have this group called the Hand, who's mostly kind of with like Daredevil and Iron Fist and whatnot. The Hand is a really creepy entity as well. Yeah, just a lot of great villains, yeah, guys. Just too many, so many good ones. So yeah, I mean, I just really kind of wanted to do an overview about how I felt about the Marvel Netflix shows, and it's such a shame that they kind of got cut short. You know, it's kind of a shame they got pushed under the bus because of all the dealings going on with Netflix and Disney. And yeah, Jessica Jones at least got to have a proper conclusion. The Punisher felt like it had a conclusion, you know. Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, they all had cliffhangers, it's very upsetting. You know, it's very upsetting. And then Defenders, I think everybody just wants to forget about the Defenders, because, you know, sometimes I forget Defenders even existed, because that's how much you kind of just don't really think about it sometimes. And I think Defenders only had like 8 episodes, didn't it? That's how unmemorable it was in some ways. But yeah, you guys, I just really kind of wanted to gush about my thoughts and feelings about the Marvel Netflix shows. I didn't really have too much to say about them. I just wanted to kind of get my feelings out and how sad I am that they're over. And more than anything, I just kind of wanted to open up a discussion. I feel like I'm only going to get like 2 people watching this video. I feel like there's me and then like 2 other people who are going to watch this video, because I don't know how many other people who watch my channel, how many other people are into you know, the Marvel Netflix shows. But yeah, I mean, those of you who have watched the Marvel Netflix shows, how do you compare it to like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? You know, what are some of the highs and the lows of the Netflix shows? Who are some of your favorite characters? Who are your favorite villains? Which shows do you put at the top? Like I said, if I had to rank them, I think season 1 of Jessica Jones is my favorite, followed by Daredevil season 3, then Daredevil season 1. And then probably Punisher season 2. I freaking loved Punisher season 2. You guys, wow. And yeah, at the very, very bottom is Defenders. But yeah, for the most part, I loved all of the shows. I mean, not terrible. You know, because I know people like to complain about Luke Cage and Iron Fist, but even those shows are still better than half the crap that's on just regular television, okay? So yeah. Let me know your thoughts about all the Marvel Netflix shows so we can have a discussion. So you guys, that's it for this video. I just wanted to share my thoughts and my feels on the Marvel Netflix shows in the comments below. Just share everything that you love or maybe hate about the shows. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.